We acquired Lionhead in 2006, shut it down in 2016. A couple years later, we reflected back on that experience. What did we learn? How do we not repeat our same mistakes?
You acquire a studio for what they're great at now, and your job is to help them accelerate how they do what they do, not them accelerate what you do.
We sit there and watch that clip of Sarah and Phil talk about, Lionhead Studios closing down and how they ultimately regretted it. And here we are in 2024, and history is repeating itself. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Harrison, and yeah, we're going to talk about all the Xbox drama, news, closings that happened yesterday as of this recording, and whether or not I think, like, is Xbox Gamepass, is it a good thing anymore? What's kind of the point of it? And has Xbox just lost their vision of what they want to be or become? So yeah, let's dive into that. And as you guys know, if you've been to this channel, I kind of just I don't write a script for what I'm going to say. I just kind of think off the top of the dome. So sometimes I tend to ramble and stuff like that, but I'm very passionate about gaming news and all that stuff. As I've pretty much follow everything in gaming for the most part. So I have a lot of stuff to say and opinions that I have on gaming, and it sucks as an avid Xbox user. I mean, Xbox has been my go-to platform for, really since, I had an Xbox, an original Xbox, but really since the 360, I've been I've been in love with the Xbox brand. Because it's been my favorite platform of choice. Everything from the games that came out, on the 360, they got kind of all the major exclusives, major timed exclusives. So I prefer that ecosystem, even down to like the controller itself. Like I love the PS5 controller. It's really cool with the haptic feedbacks and stuff like that. And the Xbox, X controller it's so simple, but it just feels so good to play. Just comparing like I've been playing through like Stellar Blade and stuff like that. So granted, it's a little bit different of a Souls-like experience, but even down to like my hands kind of hurt more on the PlayStation controller versus the Xbox. So anyways, I'm sitting here rambling about the controllers, but yeah, I've loved the Xbox brand for so long, and I've been on record to defend Xbox and everything that they've been doing here lately. I mean, they haven't had like much first party releases in the last few years. Phil and team has just said, wait, the games are coming. 2024 finally seems like the year that we're finally getting these games that have been promised for so long, with all these acquisitions that Xbox has been doing with Bethesda and now Activision and Blizzard and stuff like that. So we're finally on the precipice of this promise that we've been getting for so long. And, we start out the year with a really great developer direct that showcase, Indiana Jones, Avowed, all that stuff. Everything looks great. I need to see some more of Avowed. And then we started getting the rumblings of, Xbox going, third party, and they're, all these games that are coming. Is Halo going? Is Gears going? And it turns out that not full third party yet, but they had the 4 games, Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Hi-Fi Rush. Those games are Pentiment are coming to PlayStation 5 and Switch and stuff like that. So they had a rocky start with 2024, and now, we've got the June Direct coming next month. Like, PlayStation just had their big hiccup with the Helldivers situation, so they're the villain of the week, in as of the big 3 news, and here comes Xbox, and they want to lay off and shut down studios. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I get it, it's not necessarily Phil and the team it's not their ultimate decision. It's Microsoft. They just had a $70 billion acquisition with Blizzard and Activision and Blizzard, and they're not seeing the revenue bump or the pay increase or whatever it is. So they want to make these cuts now, so they can make the numbers look a little bit better to your shareholders and your investors and stuff like that. Like, I totally get the business aspect of it, but damn, does it suck. It really does suck. And I don't know how much Phil was fighting back. We'll never know, like, behind the scenes kind of stuff of, Phil saying, "Hey, we just gotta, we kind of got to push through it." But yeah, to go back and look at that clip, of Lionhead getting shut down, and now they're regretting it, and here we're doing this again in 2024, and they just had 1,900 employees that they laid off because of the merger, or the acquisition, and I get that aspect of that. Like, it sucks that 1,900 people lost their job, but in every acquisition there's going to be job loss because as they consolidate jobs and stuff, they may not need 5 different people doing this. I'm not saying that's the case, but I think you guys are probably understanding what I'm saying. But it just doesn't make any sense to me anymore. Like, the whole point of Game Pass, the whole point of it, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people will probably agree, and Phil and the team has gone on the record as saying it, is they acquire these studios and they allow them to make what they want to make without having to worry about the sales and stuff. They don't have to worry about keeping afloat. Are they going to shut down the studio because the game didn't sell so many copies? They have Microsoft, they have Xbox as the backbone to support these games and add to the portfolio of Game Pass to say, hey, this is a really great product. We want you guys to invest in it. We'll get you in with, Halo Infinite. We'll get you in with, the next Call of Duty. After a few months, I'm getting a little bored of of Halo. I'm getting a little bored of Call of Duty. Let me check out some of these smaller games. Let me check out a Hi-Fi Rush. I heard a lot of great things about that. Check out Pentiment. Check out some other stuff that's on Game Pass. Um, and then they'll people will renew their subscription, and that's how you kind of keep people in the ecosystem. Shutting down these studios, just that's not the vision that I see for Game Pass and why it was created in the first place. And obviously, the purpose of Game Pass is to make money, right? It's a subscription based service. You want to make money, but if you shut down these studios that make these incredible games, what's the point of going to Game Pass anymore? It's Hi-Fi Rush, I think, is at 87 on Metacritic. Like, it's the highest rated game for Xbox in years, right? Outside of like Forza. Like, I don't think even Halo was that high. A lot of people were down on Halo Infinite when it first launched. So again, it just makes no it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And it's very hard to get excited for anything Xbox this year, but especially now with this, because, like, okay, you look at something like Hellblade. Hellblade 2 comes out in 2 weeks. It doesn't feel like a first party major exclusive is coming to Xbox in 2 weeks. It doesn't feel that way. I mean, Hellblade 2 was the launch trailer for the next, for the Xbox Series X way back in 2019. Like, this was like the big showcase game for the Xbox. Like, how this is what, back then, this is what next gen does. Like, look how beautiful this game is. And I'm sure that Hellblade 2 is not an inexpensive game. I'm sure it was probably very expensive. The game looks incredible, and I'm incredibly excited for it. But I don't think there's a world where Hellblade 2 is going to sell millions of copies. Obviously, it's on Game Pass, so that's going to kind of hinder the sales. But there's not a world where that game is going to sell millions of copies outside of Game Pass. I don't think it's going to bring in a lot of subscriptions either. So, who's to say in a year Xbox announces that they're shutting down Ninja Theory? That's not the mindset that gamers need to have when we're thinking about Xbox games and Xbox studios now. But here we are, and that's kind of my mindset. Like, I'm excited for the June Direct coming up next month, but I can't help to think that some of these games that are going to be shown off, if they don't do well enough for these shareholders or well enough for Microsoft, like, are they just going to shut it down? You know what I mean? And that's just not the mindset that I particularly want to have. I'm generally try to be a positive person, but those negative thoughts are going to be there when I'm watching that showcase. Stuff like Avowed coming out. Like, who knows? Indiana Jones, if that doesn't, I mean, the Indiana Jones brand is not doing super great. Like, I just don't think this generation really cares about Indiana Jones like the prior generation did. Like, even myself growing up watching Indiana Jones, the last movie didn't do too well in the box office. So who knows how well this game is going to do, and if it flops, flops in this, and it's weird because we're talking Game Pass, but if it flops and doesn't do well, doesn't bring in new subscriptions, or they don't see the value of it, like, or who's to say would they shut down Machine Games? Like, outside of like Call of Duty right now, like I feel like everybody should be scared of their job. And I know that's already kind of been the case for game developers, but even backed by Microsoft, like you shouldn't feel like you're scared because you were promised create your vision, we'll support you, and you just make a really great product, make a really, go on with your vision. Like, and that doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. Look at a studio like Double Fine, like they've been in kind of the talks, on Twitter, this last 24 hours. Like Double Fine, like, and while I don't think Double Fine, their games probably aren't super expensive to make. Psychonauts 2 probably, it was a decent amount. But look at something like that. Like they could have absolutely been on on the chopping block. Now I know these were just Bethesda studios that got shut down, but in 6 months' time, when Microsoft is ready for another batch of layoffs and another batch of shutdowns, like Double Fine could absolutely be one of those studios, and that kind of breaks my heart because like they are. I mean, it's Tim Schafer, like he's a legend in the gaming space, and he's made some of the most incredible games. I mean, just the most recent one, Psychonauts 2. One of I think it was like my top 5 of that year. Like that game was a beautiful. That game was incredible. And to think that they could shut down again, coming back to Hellblade 2, like a year's time from now, like Ninja Theory could be shut down because it didn't perform as well as Microsoft, and the investors want. Like, man, Xbox is just. I mean, I know I've had a lot to say already, but like I'm at a loss for words when I generally am not. When it comes to Xbox, like again, I've defended them in the past, and them going third party for some of their titles made sense for stuff that would make sense on other platforms, where it wasn't Gears or Halo. And I don't know what to think. Like Xbox is in such a weird place to me, and they announced that they'll have at the end of the year they're going to talk about their next hardware, and it's very hard to get excited for anything that Xbox has to offer. Even yesterday when all this news was dropping, I'm like, man, this sucks. And I was like, man, I kind of like don't really want Game Pass anymore. And I haven't thought about canceling my subscription in years. But, Hellblade 2 is coming up here soon, so I definitely want to play that, but like for someone who's been in the Xbox ecosystem for so long, I shouldn't have those thoughts. A lot of people are coming after Phil for his job, and I don't blame people, and I don't know what the answer is. Like if anybody other than Phil was in the position right now, like I genuinely feel like Phil is a gamer at heart, and he loves the passion that it comes to making games. And if we had somebody like the old CEO, like Don Matrick, in like who was probably more or less a corporate shill, that they may have closed a bunch of other studios by now, and maybe Phil's trying to kind of stop Microsoft from doing that. But again, all these acquisitions, all these gobbling up of these companies, the whole point was to kind of, okay, we understood that we were gonna have to wait for these games, and we're gonna get some really awesome exclusives. We're gonna get some really awesome products. All these visions of these developers, they got the backing of Microsoft, so they can make it come to a fruition. And we're finally starting to see the fruits of like the labor of these acquisitions, and we're just shutting down studios left and right. Again, Hi-Fi Rush came out a little over a year ago, one of the highest rated games in a long time for Xbox, and we're shutting the studio down. What message does that send across the Xbox studios? I would be terrified of being shut down if I wasn't like a Call of Duty or a 343 or something like that. I don't know, man. Guys, it's a very weird right now in gaming in general with just all the layoffs, and now we're getting entire studios getting shut down from, Microsoft, which is a $3 trillion company. It feels bad. It feels really, really bad. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm not a business person. I just love seeing these incredible games that come out, and I don't want to see just Call of Duties all the time. I don't want to see these major first person, online shooters all the time. Like, I love the single player, the weird things, these these passionate games that are coming from these developers. I love seeing all that stuff, and I don't love where the industry is moving. I know we'll always have like indie developers, pushing out the games that are really fun. And maybe that's just kind of the trend right now for Xbox, for not just Xbox, but just gaming in general. We'll get these really cool things from indie developers, and the big AAA games are these first person. I don't like it. So, all right, guys. Well, I think I have rambled enough. I really appreciate you guys being here. I know it's been a while since I made a video. I've just been so busy with life. Son just had a birthday. And just been playing a lot of games. Another Crab's Treasure, Stellar Blade. Been playing a lot of games. Haven't had a lot of time to make any videos, but I feel like I want to make a video on this because it's so important to talk about. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I know it's been kind of a long video, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? I'm sure you guys probably do. I mean, there's even just looking at Twitter, like everybody is in agreement that Xbox is in the wrong. Like there's a couple of like armchair warriors that are still defending like they're weirdos, but I've never seen Twitter come together like they have in this case. Like much like the Helldivers situation, where like everybody was pissed off that PlayStation was making people log in on a separate account to play Helldivers on the PC. Yeah, I haven't seen Twitter, as as on board as they are in the last week or so. It's kind of crazy to see and kind of nice to see for once. There's not a lot of console war drama right now. I'm sure there's people on the PlayStation side that are like haha and Xbox, but those people are weird. Those console warriors people, they're weirdos, and there'll always be edgelord weirdos. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll let YouTube algorithm pick one of my videos below for you guys to watch. Give it a click, and I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next video.